delay in our starting this evening as we were experiencing some challenges. However, we thank you greatly for your patience and for your understanding and for sticking with us, because we know that the information that will be shared with you here this evening will be beneficial not just to you who are presently on our platform, but to members of your family, to friends, community, wherever it is that you serve, wherever it is that you interact on a daily basis. You'll be able to share this information with somebody who will benefit from it. And so we thank you for sticking with us and for waiting patiently on our start to the program. Now, this evening, our topic is understanding the importance of making a will. And for those of us as Jamaicans who know what we refer to in our colloquial term as dead left, we understand fully the impact that it can have on families. It has been the source of many discourse in families, many family feuds that have lasted for decades and have even resulted in loss of life or lives of family members. And we know and we understand that as we aim to educate and to try as best as possible to stem the growth of domestic violence in our country, we understand how important it is for persons to leave a will so that the inheritance that they leave behind can be properly disposed of or dispersed amongst family members to minimize the need for conflict. And before we go any further, we have Reverend Donovan Perkins. He's also a detective constable of police, and he's the peer counselor here at the Spanish Town Police Station. And he will take us into prayer to begin our program. So, Reverend Perkins, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And good evening, St. Catherine. Good evening. Let us pray. Our God and our Father, we thank you for this another opportunity to come before your God. We thank you this evening, oh God, that you are who you are, that you will never change. You are mighty, you're awesome, you're altogether wonderful, and you're great. As your people are gathered in this fashion, oh God, we know, God of mercy, how important it is for us to make wills. And we ask you, oh God, that as we go throughout this section tonight, oh God, that you will be with us. Help us, oh God, that whatever the people will be bringing to us, oh God of mercy, will absorb. Help us, oh God, that in this season, oh God, that we'll make wise decisions, mighty God. Cover your people. Give us, hallelujah, receptive spirits right now, mighty God. And just help us, oh God, that as we take on this evening, oh God, it will just be you. Take control of the proceedings, mighty God. We ask you, oh God, that you'll even speak through the presenter this evening, oh God, that you will speak through those who will be presenting, mighty God. As we come and we put everything to this evening, we're just asking that you will take control. Just have your own sweet divine way. As I put everything to you, I put even the system that they are using, mighty God. I'm just putting everything to you right now, God. I put the Zoom platform in your hands and we tell you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you very much, Reverend Perkins. And let me formally introduce myself to you here on the platform. I am Corporal Kester Fennel of the St. Catherine North Community Safety and Security Branch, and I am your host for the Family Empowerment Discussion. Now, this evening, I want persons to understand that we are streaming live on YouTube. So you can feel free to share that information with others. So if they cannot join our Zoom platform, they can go on YouTube and they can search for CSSB North. That is CSSB North, and they'll be able to watch that program being live streamed right now, as well as the program will be available on YouTube for future viewing. All right, so we are already stretched for time, and we're going to move straight into our program. We have with us this evening, who will be our presenter. We have Mrs. Gladys Brown-Ellis, and she is a superintendent of police. And she has been a dedicated member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for over 34 years. And she has served several divisions, such as the Bureau of Special Investigations, the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, CISOCA, and she has also been the head of the Court of Inquiry, and she is at the administration branch of the Commissioner's Office. She has been also the Area 4 and 5 disciplinary panel head, and she is presently the administrative officer for Area 2. She is the holder of a Bachelor's of Arts degree in English, as well as a Bachelor of Arts degree in law, and a master's degree in national security and strategic management. And she also lectures at the St. George's College, where she teaches law to sixth form students there. Mrs. Brown-Ellis, we thank you, Madam, for joining us and for being on to share with our participants on this platform this evening. So, Madam, we're going to ask that you turn your camera on, and we'll turn the show over to you as you present to our platform this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremony. I hope the lighting is enough. Is it enough?
Yes, we are seeing you clearly.
And thank you so much. Let me say good evening to all those who are on the platform, and especially to the organizers of this very important topic this afternoon. And it is really, really good and encouraging when you see persons, especially young persons, take on this mammoth task of introducing such a topic that many Jamaicans are afraid to look at. Many Jamaicans think it is a death sentence to actually even think about a will, much less to make one. And so when you see young people delving into stuff like this, then you know we are really going somewhere and things are changing. Now, when I normally start these lectures, I always start with the fact that many of us who serve in the JCF are worth more dead than alive. But before I go any further, let me ask the moderator to assist me with telling me if we have mostly police on the platform or who we have, a mixture of who.
Well, we do have police officers on the platform, but predominantly we have citizens from various communities across St. Catherine as well as other parishes.
Very well, very well. I'm so happy to hear that. So now I know how to fashion my presentation so it's not totally skewed to just one set of folks. So as I said, greetings to everyone who has taken time out to be here this evening to listen to such an important topic, the importance of making a will. Now, like I just said, it is most persons too, it's not just police. Most persons are considered worth more dead than alive, especially if you work in government, yes? And so you will notice that some stuff will not, and I'm going to explain as we go along. Some things you have in life or expectations that you have will not come to fruition until when we would have passed. And I put myself there. Many persons believe that if you make a will, you're preparing to die. But that's a myth. It really is a myth. In my estimation and my knowledge, it's a myth. People make wills because they want to tidy up their estate or their earnings and belongings over the years on earth. People make wills because they want organization. They want persons in their lives in particular their spouse and children, where those are applicable, to know where their things are. And when I say things, I mean which bank you join, which credit union, which insurance company. And let me just make it abundantly clear before some smart person asks or contemplate the question, that your insurance and your credit union business, those you can put in your will, but your will not actually speak to them, as those will be settled outside of your will. But what it does is to organize your affairs in such a way that your immediate relatives, your next of kin, your spouse, your children can know exactly where what you have is. Yes? Now, what is the major importance of making a will? To my mind, the major importance of making a will, or the critical importance, is that those who you want to get what you have will get it. Let me repeat. Those who you want to get what you have will get it. And I heard the moderator just mention something called dead left. In typical Jamaican parlance, dead left. And we would have seen the strife and the conflict and the war that would have devolved concerning dead left, because so many persons believe that they are entitled to it, even when they have not played a role in the person's life, or they did not do anything that they could consider deserving. But alas, they would have fallen into the line of entitlement, especially when there's no will. Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. So even when you have a will, you still have conflict about dead left. And where I come from, somebody would say, if you don't like what happened, go and go beat in grave. If you don't like what he has left in his will, go and beat his grave and go take it out with him. But we are not here this evening to beat no grave. That's a different kettle of fish if the police see you doing it. Yes, man. And it may be interpreted a different way. So let us focus on the importance and why. Now, many of us would have worked many years to achieve the things that we have, the things that we own, the houses, the properties, the monies in the account, in the credit union, in the bank, the life insurance that you have put your kid's name on or your spouse name on. Those are things that you would not want to stay there and nobody knows where they are. So it is important that you make a will to say, these are the things I have, and these are the persons that I want to inherit my hard-earned money. Now, it is critical that you understand too, but let me start right here, that if you are married and separated and you don't leave a will, 50% of what you have died leaving will go to that estranged wife. The other 50% will go to your children if you have children. If you don't have any children, the estranged wife will get 100% of all that you die leaving. Let me backtrack a bit. Especially police, and this is for the police personnel. If you die in the line of duty, your estate is going to receive certain amount of money. At one point, it was $10 million. I'm not sure if it is the same amount now, but it is more than 10, either 10 or more. That will come to your estate. If you die sleeping in your sleep, if you die in your sleep, if you die from cancer, if you die from any natural illness, as long as you're serving in the force, there is money that will come to your estate based on your level of service, the years of service, and how many months vacation leave you have to your credit, etc. So those are the things that they will use to calculate in particularly the police pay to give to your next of kin. And so it is important that you revisit some of the documentations that you would have signed up when you just joined, or somewhere along the line, to say who is your next of kin. Is it the ex-girlfriend? Is it the ex-wife? Yes? Or is it the wife that you're currently separated from? Yes? Who is your next of kin? And have you updated those documentation within the force, within the ministry, within the anywhere you are, within your workplace? Now, you have to make a will to say, even the very antique furniture that you have, you are going to have to make a will to say who you want those to go to, unless you want them to remain in your house. The truth of the matter is there are people who will appreciate antique, while there are others who won't. Some of us know the importance and the expense that is associated with antique furniture, while young people may throw it out and want the next American stuff. Those are things that are not as solid and are not as authentic and hard and long-serving as your antique. Yes? So you may have placed great emphasis and great importance on those things, and you'd want to give them to somebody who you know will continue to care for them and to appreciate them. So too with the house that you are currently living, or the houses that you have. You'd want to say who exactly you want to give those to. The money in your account, you want to say whether you want to give it to one person or you want it to be shared. So you want to do these things and put them down. Let me derail a little bit. I had a will from in the 90s, very early 90s. I made a will because I realized from then that there was a very great importance to making a will. In 2003, I tear up my will because I was now separated. Yes, tear up my will and say I'm going to make a new one because, you know, the gentleman and I are no longer together. I tear up the will this Sunday night. Actually, I graduated from law school this Saturday night, came home and tear up the will this Sunday night, and then said, let me make a new one. When I made the will, I realized that nobody in my house was there to witness it. Yes? Because the persons in the house would have been my beneficiaries. And you're going to learn as we go along that your beneficiaries cannot be witnesses. The witnesses have to be external persons who will not be benefiting under the will. So I realized that all the persons in the room, in my house, were beneficiaries. And so I ended up having to take the will with me to work the following day. I was seconded to the DPP's office at the time. And by Monday morning, I was looking at the Gleaner carrying me as the first police woman to have graduated from the Norman Manley Law School. And by 1:30, the same news media, the radio and so forth, was carrying me as dead because I was attacked downtown, my stomach slashed and I got cut all over, and I watched my intestines fall to the ground. Had the presence of mind and the little bit of consciousness that was left to grab them up in my palm, couldn't scan my own stuff, and use them to plug the hole. And people who had surrounded me were able to commandeer a car that didn't want to stop because they didn't want any blood in their car. And they were able to commandeer that car and took me to KPH. And I said, God, give me 5 minutes. I reached there in 4. And when I reached there, I was just able to say, I have a weapon on me, and call Ione Ramsey, who was then my commanding officer. And that was it. And everything dropped. And I like to say this, that it was just the mercy of God why I would not have died intestate, died without leaving a will. Because what I should have done was to make the new will before I destroy the old one, and make sure that there were 2 persons to witness it. So we're going to start from the top to say how you should construct your will. And remember that there is going to be, you are going to have questions to ask, so write them down. So in making a will, one of the first things that, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to pay a lawyer to make your will unless you have a lot of stuff and a lot of intricacies. You have business, you have children and other persons who you'd really, really want to get certain things. So you can employ the services of a lawyer, preferably me. So you can make your own will. They sell the will forms. And if you need additional will forms or papers, you buy them according to your estate. But it is always the best to make sure that you have somebody who knows about will to look over them. But you can do it on your own. Suffice it to say, the first paragraph is basically a disclaimer to say that any other wills that would have been made previously are now this one, the present will subsume those or will take precedence or first place over those. Yes? Then you are going to appoint now in your second paragraph the persons who you'd want to now be your executors. Yes? And so it is important that you choose people who you have confidence in, because the truth of the matter is that sometimes you choose persons who you believe are people you can rely on. And when you pass, these are the people who will carry out your wishes, of course, get the estate probated. But when the money comes into their hands now to be distributed to your beneficiaries, it's a different kettle of fish. I remember days gone by when Cash Plus collapsed. People use other people's money to invest in Cash Plus. And when they were to find those money to give it back to, or to put it back where it was borrowed from, they couldn't find any money. You have people who use the money that they would have collected as executor to put coaster buses on the road or to put minibuses on the road for themselves. Basically rinsing the money. And if it was just rinsing, it would have been bad and not too bad. But when they are to account, to hand over the money, to distribute the money, it cannot be found. Yes? So you want to use people who you have confidence in. And where I am coming from, it is always best to use one of the beneficiaries who you trust along with somebody else who you have confidence in to balance it out a bit. Understand, however, that unless you make both beneficiaries joint beneficiaries or mutual beneficiaries, one will have to take the probate through the court, while the other one is notified by registered mail that the other will be going through with the probate. The lawyers who you hire, and I hope it will be me, will be able to do that for the family members who are left behind. Yes? And the lawyer will know exactly who is to write based on what is in the will. Now, some people like to say they are asking their executors to take care of all their funeral and testamentary disposition. You know, Jamaicans love good funeral, love big funeral. Whereas when you work hard, you want your good funeral, though. And I know the police don't want the honors that would have been gained by them, or the fact that they would have earned that. You want a good funeral. So nobody wants to die and then know that persons have to be using, my mother would have said, shed pan or little tin pan to go around begging money to bury you. You want to know that whatever you die leaving, it will be used to take care of your funeral, and whatever is left will be distributed to your beneficiaries. So it is important that that is made clear. Yes? We know, for those who are in the force, that if you die while serving, you can also get what you call a police honors funeral, where they will take charge of the night or the wake. They will give you a certain amount of money as contribution towards a funeral package, which will include the casket and the wreath and the programs, etc. Yes, and then you will have to be responsible now for your repast. Yes, when I say you, I mean the persons who are your beneficiaries. Yes, they will have to take care of those little things, or the family members also. Because a lot of times the beneficiaries don't want to put a dollar, you know. They don't want to people inherit insurance, and they would never put a dollar out of it. There is a thing called a joint account, where it is now encouraged, and I suspect that a lot of persons would have gone ahead to do it, where you open an account, they are encouraged not to let your name alone be in it. Gone are the days when you put somebody on your card to say, if I pass, these are the persons who should get the money that is left in my account. It is now being said that once you put somebody's name on their account, they are now a joint holder. And you will hear people say, boy, you know, me and the woman separate. And by the time you go bank money, if you go do my business, every dollar gone. My wife take out every dollar. My husband take out every dollar. Because it's a joint account and they have access to the funds. especially when they have a card, or they can just march into the bank and pull out what they have to pull out. Yes? So these are things that you are going to look at now to say, you have a joint account. Who do you have it with? Is it your spouse, your loving, sweet, nice spouse who you know you can rely on, who has been marching with you for the last how many years, who you have your kids with, blah, 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 right? So you know that a wife like that, you would want to put her as the executor, yes? One of the executors, one of the two. And it is always important to put younger people as your executor. And when I say younger, I don't mean 18-year-old, 19-year-old. But these are young people who don't understand or want to deal with death or court business like that. So it would be always important for you to put, some people in their 30s or 40s who you believe will stick around a little longer than the norm or stick around longer than the older ones. Yes. Because again, we know not the minute or the hour when God will call us. And the Bible itself speaks about making a will. That is how important the whole thing is. Yes? Making the will is. And so you are going to be making sure that you understand that anytime you put somebody's name in your account, it is now a joint account. When you pass, all the money in your account will go to the person or persons who were jointly on that account with you, whether you like it or not. No, we are hoping that outside of those joint accounts, you probably have an FIP or you have an insurance policy that can be cashed in, because by law, the money that is in those accounts is not to bury you. But many people don't even know that. If it push comes to shove, it can be, and you would have expressed that opinion or that view that I am putting money in this account, that when I pass, I will not be a problem to anybody. And I'm pity them, my wife or no relative, nor no church people. Because I tell you something, folks, many times people pass and it is the church that they used to attend, or them children attend, or the relatives attend, that have to help to bury them, or the community jump up together and do the needful. Because some people squander everything while they're alive. They don't save anything, especially if they are self-employed. They don't put aside anything. And when money are run, it doesn't dawn on them to put something on fixed deposit and forget about it. No buying, don't ask for any card to that account. Have a special account that you put some money in for sickness. And if you're dead or something like that, and make sure it is known that money is if I'm sick, or if I get a stroke and my mouth lean and I can't talk, you guys know that this is money is to take care of me. Because it's not all the while we are going to die talking friends or so forth, friends on the platform. Many times we sick, we get stroke, we mouth twist, we brain gone, we lie down there for years before God take us, and we don't know anybody, and we can't do anything or say anything. So it's what you put in place now that will speak to you after, even when you're not able to speak. But people know that this is the understanding. And the law makes provision for money that you put in a joint account for specific purposes. But I have come against a case recently where a father died, and his name and his son's name was on the account. The wife's name never on it, for whatever reason. And when he passed, the son and the sister, the son's name was on one account with him, and his sister's name and the son's name would have been on two other accounts, to include the US dollar account with the world for money. Yes, sir. And so when he passed, they are now saying that the money in the account is not to bury him. And if they even borrow a little thing out there and bury him, the wife have to go find it back, give them from the estate. No, hear that story there? Come on, man. Heartlessness in a my little view, But guess what? They may have a thought there. They may have a point. But me and you will say, but it shouldn't come to that. The man dead left him money in an account, Jesus Christ. Then can't just bury him and then what left they take? No, the son said, no. And he get lawyer on the case to say, whatever is the father dead left is solely mine, because it was a joint account. And he has a big point. And so this money is mine now, and I am not going to use it to bury nobody. I'm going to find money to bury him. Or even if I lend you some money to pay for the package, you are going to have to pay me back. And if you don't pay me back, straight up court it I go. And I want to tell you that that is in court now. So you have heartless relatives who will do whatever they want to do. Some, of course, will give you a funeral that they think you deserve in their mind. They cremate you for £1,000 or $1,000 US, depending on where in the world you are, or here in Jamaica. But Jamaicans are known for wanting to have their stately funeral. You know, like the bun thing, just in case we are going to burn 2 times. Jamaicans just don't like the burning idea or the fire thing, you know, even though it's a dead body. So people will go ahead, and you'll find more elderly persons in the community who will want to put some instruction in place and to say certain things. And this is something to be encouraged. So you get your account straight up as of today. You know now that if you have a joint account, then it is basically an equal account with you and whoever you have in there. Worse if it is not a minor. Yes, any card can play, anything can happen. But again, it depends on who you have and who you give access to. They may have a card, but they may not necessarily need a card to go into the bank to draw money from it. And there are many persons who are crying today, maybe crying foul, because somebody would have gone to the bank to pull out their monies. And when they were ready for it, they realized that God bless what was left in their account. My very sister had a similar experience. We had a similar experience with her in October of last year, where she was told by the doctor that she has 6 months to live. She would have put the money in the account to say, you know, I want to come home to Jamaica to die and blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, she could not travel, and the doctor told her that she can't travel. No, what my sister did was put some money to say, yes, this money is to buy some furniture in Jamaica, to buy things to make me comfortable when I come down. So the bank now have a problem with all of that money going in at one. So they had to put 4 one time, and then they were getting ready to put the other 6 when they realized that the £4,000 gone only left 87 pence. Yes, 87 pence. You know what was so painful? The person who took it out, name still on the account, but they and my sister not on good terms, in the sense where you could have just going to take out that money. And she said, oh, well, you know, part of this money is to buy her grandson his birthday gift. Part of it was to pay for so-and-so. Part of it was to do so-and-so. I never knew that you could go in somebody's account, take out their money and do what you feel to do with it. And then you're giving an account to say, oh, your grandson, me use your money to buy a gift for. His birthday was the other day. And she refused to put back the money to date. But I want to let you understand that sometimes you don't even have to dead before the people around you start to come down like predators. Like our very, very good raven, the nice one that God sent out of the ark, not the one that we have in Jamaica, because the one that did carry a message. Not true. The one that God sent from the ark carried a good message and come say, carry back grass or something to say, boy, we see land. These vultures, and you know the ravens then, and you know the Jamaicans tend to call them vultures. You have people will drop down by your account and take what them have to take and eat, and nothing is left to take care of the funeral. And so it is important that you have people in place to do all of that, because remember, a will is not effective until it is probated. So once and again, a will cannot be effective while you're alive. So though you have people who know that you have made a will, they will strut around and walk and say, you know, I am the executor. No, the executor only becomes active and in charge once the will is probated. So you leave a will and all of that is there. Good. Yes, the family members are now able to get the burial order and use that to apply for a death certificate, where you could go to the bank and, you know, to say something if the person died without having any other person in their account. Good too that you go to the bank to inform them that he has passed and you wish to close the account. And since I am the only joint tenant on it, or myself and so is the only other joint tenants, then you can cash in on what is there. Same thing with the insurance. Same thing with the the FIPs and the credit union monies. The credit union monies don't necessarily form a part of your will. But like I said, these are things you want to put in this one document to leave footprints or a trail, so that when I pass or you pass, people will know exactly where your money is, where you did hide them little things that don't have Berita, you know? Something down a Berita, something down a Sagicor, something down a Scotia investment, you know, in a US dollar too. Nobody don't know your business. And a lot of us Jamaicans, especially when it comes to money, we know why nobody know our business. Because sometimes you're very one turn on by you know, and take you out before time just to have access to what them know. So you're left in the wheel, you know. Believe me, people on this platform, it has happened. Where people know you make a will. Can't wait for you to die peacefully in your sleep. I forgot to take you when he chooses, or chooses rather, sorry. And they decided to bump you off and say you kick the bucket. Sometimes you can't even trace what them use. Some of them have some ancient poison that they will use to get people out of this world. We are living in a society where it's difficult to know who to trust. And when you do trust people, some of them betray your trust. So I'm just saying this to make sure you understand. When you're making a will, it is always good to have at least 3 copies. Worst case scenario, 2 copies. Yes, you keep one at home in your underwear drawer if you're a male or a female, you know. You have them say panty jar for the women, and the men, them, you know, what phone jar hole. Yes, so you put your things in that. Or you may have a drawer that you put all your documents in a Ziploc bag and you nicely label them. Wouldn't that be nice? So when you pass, somebody just come and you say anything, this drawer here, I'm not going out until me pass. If anything happened to me, I'm not going out that drawer there. So you give your instructions from very early. Yes? And so the executors, when the time come, will know what to do. You give, and remember now, that's why I said it is important that you probably give a relative, depending on the kind of relative. Because, you know, you have some wives where they're not so good for the reading, or some wives where they don't want to be bothered with that kind of thing. So they say, use pastor no, use a JP down the road. No, yes, man, me prefer pastor angle this, or miss the JP. And sometimes, you know, we have to be careful about some of the pastors and some of the JPs. Because all is not well in Rome sometimes. Good. So you choose your people with care. And so these are the people now who will gather around the family and say, you know, send it, say A, B, and C. We look at it, will it not probate yet, but you can go to so and so and so. In recent time, I would have seen where persons die and them call me and say, oh, you know, we don't know nothing about him. We don't know nothing about him, you know, Miss G and blah, 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 blah. What we must do, I said, look at his pay slip. Just take out a pay slip and look and see, and you will see where him sending money, which insurance says. Because no for we are 2, 3, you know, like myself, yeah. Yes, because sometimes it's not for death, it's for when you take sick and you need money for burns and strokes and this and that. So we take out insurance that have some value. Some of the insurance have like a cash incentive on the side. So when you find yourself down on your feet, you're going and cashing a little part and collect a little money and use it to buy your medication or to buy whatever doctor say you need to keep you a little healthier. Yes? And so you need to have people around you who are conscious, yes, of what it is you need, and to give the will to one person to keep one outside the house should in case anything happen, rain come, fire come, storm come, blow off your house, stop. Every document wet up, even the drawer with the grab, which is why it is important to put your things in Ziploc bags. But sometimes the very house flood out in and the water come way up to the dresser, way up to the chest of drawer, and everything get wet. So it's always good to leave one on the road, outside of your house, I should say, with one of the executors. And sometimes you put it in your drawer, or you even give the executor who is at home with you, yes? So you don't want to leave those at home in the dark. And I tell you something, you know, we have some dark secrets in life where for some policemen would have seen it in the past, and I'm not, spreading tales out of school. You know, sometimes the policemen, they have 2 nice children, 2.5 children at home, and a nice wife. But the policeman have children outside where nobody don't know about, until when you hear the policeman pass, then everybody start crawl out of the woodworks now, and you say, wait. The one they favor him, but the one they not favor them. Then really did have all they never pick me here. You guys know also a police who have 2 families, married to one here, so married to one there, so bigger me. But when he passed, that would have come to the 4 and the 2 women them come up. The one I say, I'm me are the wife, and documentations have to be pulled out to show who is the wife. Yes? Who is the wife, and the one in the first in the wife in first in time is the wife, not the one who comes after. So it is important, ladies and gentlemen, that you understand that the spouse, will play a great role here, whether you're separated from them or not. And so ultimately, if you are separated from a spouse, it is best to put things in place that you get your divorce or you make the will. Again, remember that a spouse can push hard by hiring a lawyer to contest your will if you make this will and not left nothing for you or not leave anything substantial. So the best thing, the best approach is to make sure you are properly divorced from that spouse. Now, once you are divorced now, and if you get married again, the will that you would have had before is null and void. It is invalid. You have to make a new will. So every time you get married, you have to make a new will, because marriage invalidates a will. When you tear it up, it becomes invalid too. Sometimes people tear it in 4 and throw it in the garbage. Miss Matty, go sister who? The will that was in my favor. Why him tear it up? He give me the house upon the hill and in change his mind. You watch me and him, man. And Miss Matty take the 4 pieces and paste them back together and put them in a fair panty jar. And when him dead now, she take out that. You see? Because maybe he never get to make another one. Or the one when making get nobody sign it. So him have that unsigned will, while Miss Matty have the 4 that he tore in 4. And paste them up proper, and call in the lawyer when he pass and says, ma'am, I want this will to be probated. The court will ask why it is in that state. She can tell lies, say, him just get mad and therapy. And me decide, so me just go and paste it back to him because him apologized after. But I'm not no go so, But the court just needs an explanation as to why the will is torn. And that can go through. If you leave out the so-called wife who you have been estranged from, all 15 years, some people separated and then are divorced. Oh, my church is against divorce. And, God says that what he has joined together, no man will put asunder. While another church is saying, but it is written Corinthians 5, verses 7 to wherever, that if the spouse wrong you, or in Jamaica we call it Giobon. Sorry for the words, but Giobon, then you can divorce and remarry because you have cause. Yes, I read it in the Bible myself. So if the spouse and cheat on you or become unfaithful or commit infidelity, yes, man, same thing, Calbon. You can not only gazette the person, but you can divorce the person, and based on the Bible, you divorce the person because the person would have committed adultery. In some of the scripture, you see fornication, meaning the same adultery thing in those days, because it was taken from the Hebrew language and put into English. So it depends on your belief. So you sit down now and you left the man left you, or you left the man 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, and you say, oh, me I go to my church, I wait till he's dead. He might wait for you dead too. Yes? And while you are there waiting, nothing is in place to say, I am separated from this man. Even if the person is living with somebody else, the moment you pass on, that person is now standing as your spouse, proper spouse too. Ay, what a ball, crocodile tears, oh my God. Yes, and the relative said, then look how much years then left. But you're going to say, hey, we leave, but we had a relationship going, and every now and then me pass through and she pass through. Lie, not go so. Sometimes I find them there, and if I'm send for them, especially when they are policemen and women. The JCF will send for your spouse, get in contact with your spouse down in New Zealand, down in Israel, down in Egypt, and said, come, your wife has passed or your husband has passed, and we need to have a meeting with you because you are the next of kin. And the person said, but, me and that woman left long time. They said, well, sir, sorry, or ma'am, sorry, you're on record as the next of kin. Then, but he actually have children. They say, well, we can't deal with the children, sir. We need you, our ma'am. We need you to come so that we can tell you what it is we have in mind and what the government is giving and what you as the spouse is entitled to, which, my God, is 50%, ladies and gentlemen. The spouse where you and him left how long, will live down our Matches Lane with his wife, the wife will live upstairs up New Kingston or up Beverly Hills with our little hot young man. Yes, man, as your pastor, sir, that wife is called and she come out of her bed with her nice atman and present herself to the police and say, oh, yes, I'm his wife. And yes, I heard that you wanted to have a meeting with me. Police no business whether you did estrange or mash up or only if you're divorced. They're no business if you don't leave. As long as the paper, there's no decree absolute in place. That person is your spouse. And you say, but look how long she there with John. A 4 people she are with John. And you are contact and the family members are going to cuss and quarrel. No. Protocol dictates that the wife or the husband who is on paper wife and paper husband now. So I say all of that to say it is imperative that if you separate, you make a clean break of it, as it can have consequences. Even when you make a will, a determined wife who determined to get for your dead left will contest the will and tie it up in court. And depending on which judge sits on it, they will say, well, she was a dependent. The lady say, I'm used to buy her medication. I'm used to buy her glasses that I not go so, you know. But you have witnesses who will come forward and put their life on the line and their reputation on the line to say yes and write in affidavits too to support the estranged wife. We have seen it happen with police so many times. Police who get shot in a Cambio. He was living with somebody else and separated from the wife. The wife lived with her boyfriend. They call the wife and the wife come and the baby mother went live with her, have 2 children of a cancer back. Sean, like she's she have leprosy. And you know the JCF love pretty so. The JCF like to put up a beautiful image of you. And when you live a riotous life, you know, the JCF want to put up the best image for the public. Yes? And so they don't really want a boyfriend and a girlfriend thing when they can get a wife. Even if it is a wife for you and she done with how long, they are going to use that person to carry out all of their protocols. Worse if it's a funeral with honors. Oh my God. Because some of we deserve it, you know, if we die in the line of duty or we dead while still serving. We deserve a little pump and pageant, man. Not true? Yes, man. The rivalry, our white name, that blowing at the trumpet at the funeral. Yes, we who dead in our bed get that. Those who die on the street or die in uniform or die in the line of duty, them get the 21 gun salute and the trumpeter blow and all of those nice things. Yes? And after them fold up the flag and take it off of the casket, guess who then give the flag? The wife or the husband. Yes, man. The wife or the husband who never in a nothing with you and who live down so with her boyfriend, and the only reason why they never married long time, because you don't want to pay for the divorce, and they're adamant that if you want divorce, go get it, go pay for it yourself. Can for me money, you must be mad. How you born me? The amount of things that you do to me, say the wife. Me now go pay my money if you do not divorce. So if you want divorce, go and go get it. And so you will hear all of that. Yes. So you make the will, man, and you put in the house. You put the address of the house, yes. Put in the address of the house. But I would love for you to put the house first, yes, and put the volume and folio number. You can get a copy of the title from title's office, maybe about $1,000 for it. And you know your paperwork if you don't have it yet, yes. And put that in there. So my house at 14 York Avenue, I leave to my Bunononos wife, my beloved wife, Gladys Brown. Yes, man, I mean, don't put nobody else there. My loving wife, Gladys Brown. Yes? And you can, the car, my 2014 car, I leave to her also. Yes, man. The money in my account, I left to my 3 children in the BNS account. Yes. The money at Barito. Well, when we come to the insurance and them, somewhere we're talking. But the money in the account, the money at NCB, I left to my darling wife, Gladys Brown. Yes, me now put on the Ellis, because I'm single now. Hey, yes, I'm single now. Because no one when me forget. No one, nobody thinks that me married right now. Me single. Yes, sir. So Yes, so you put the house and who you want to get it. Suppose you have 3-4 houses and you want the children them to get one or so. Then you put the name of the child and say which house they are to get and put the address. Yes, man. Because you don't want to mix up on a blender, you know. Because me that serious, so man. If we can't get the 3 houses, me I go take the 3 of them and to hell with everybody else, them lucky. Yes, man. I put on my glasses and see what people saying there. Okay, right. So the point I am trying to make is that you will now need to state specifically who we are give the houses them or the one house. But you know, sometimes if they are children alone, it is best to put them as joint tenants, you know, put them as older joint tenants. Now, what is the importance of joint tenants? Well, you know, I think I've gone for 40 minutes already, Mr. Moderator. Lord Jesus.
Madam, it is fine. We do have a little bit more time. So you can take about another 10 minutes to wrap up, and then we can take some questions from persons on the platform.
Yes.
But we're loving the
I'm going to
presentation.
wrap up here now in as speedy and as precise and articulate a manner as I can, so that it can be well understood by those. Right. So you put those in your will and you say who is to get what. No, so you'll have the house. Now you deal with the accounts and you say who is to get what, and you put which branch of the bank. So then now run up and down downtown and look for your account. Albeit now all banks are intertwined, yes? But you know, one of them I run a VMBS, I go Scotia, I go Sagicor, and I say, Lord God, I wish banking did join. Yes? When your bank is JN, or you know, really have no money at bank, but you have everything at the credit union, them, all 4 credit unions. And remember, you're a private person, so not everybody gonna know your business. Even your wife sometimes, or your spouse sometimes don't know your business, or even know where your things are. So that is one of the reasons why it is important to put those accounts in your will and to say who is to get what. Good? You can put in your insurance and your credit union now for point of reference. Because remember, on your insurance, you would have put who your beneficiaries are. And for God's sake, those who join the force long like me, who no run, go look if who and who no have there. Because, you know, I was thinking today that my mother is still on mine, on my life insurance. And my mother died from 2013. So I said, come on, G, you shouldn't even guess and spell. No, I am called G. So I talk to myself. You should know who and who they are on it. So I say, you know what? I'm going to find a day this week to run, go up there, or call up there to see who and who they're on the same way, if I had updated it, because I don't honestly remember. So it is important that you update your thing. Because sometimes at the long time, girlfriend, the on it, you know, or the spouse, and she left long time, and you say, Jesus Christ, I never even remember, say, she did depend on paper there. But when you pass, guess who I get the money? The estranged spouse. So it is important that you update all of those insurance things. And of course, your beneficiaries are already mentioned on it. The credit unions, the same thing. Your beneficiaries are mentioned on it. So once your children or your spouse is able to present the death certificate, then those people they'll hand out what is to be handed out. And I say, because you don't have to put it in your will, you know, but for me, I think it is a tidy way of doing things, so that one document contains everything. Of course, the executor would not come in here now, but the wife of the paper, they look upon and say, oh, 4 banks, we have to go. Yes, and the police credit union, and yes, the public sector credit union too. So those are how the will now would put in this. Now, there's a crucial part of the will that is called a residual clause. Residual clause. That residual clause accounts for anything we don't have now. You can't put your finger on it. So like, for example, now I go to my bed tonight, God forbid. My husband must have pinch. And me go dead in my sleep. Tomorrow now, the government say, oh, Miss Brown have over 4 years. Yes, man, couple good millions there. So, yes, and she no go on a vacation, leave how long. So we're going to check up that, and all of this money now will be going to, and they don't know if we put it, who it was to go to. Right? They don't know who it got to maybe next of kin. Yes, but you don't want the next of kin to get everything. Because sometimes the next of kin is so pretty, you know, but you're still in the marriage, still in the relationship with them, because you can't bother with the divorce, and the church say no. but you are still them still in a something. So it's important that in the residual clause you said no. Any money that is coming from the government of Jamaica or from the workplace or anything should be shared according to the percentage that I am going to outline. So you said 15% for my son, 15% for my daughters, each of them, the three of them, 50% for wifey or whatever. Or you want to all of it to go to one person. So you use the residual clause. The residual clause is the penultimate paragraph. Yes, it is the last clause before the little signing part where you sign and date it as the person making the will, and then the witnesses will be down there to watch you sign and date the will. You can't sign the will without the witnesses being one on your left, one on your right. And if I three of them, all three should be there watching you sign and date the will. It cannot be done in their absence. That would make the will invalid. So one of you come today and one come tomorrow. All of them or both of them or the one that you use must be there to watch you sign your name and date that will. Yes? And remember now, as I said, the witnesses cannot be your beneficiaries. They can probably be family members who you're not giving anything, or strangers who you're not, giving anything, or people from your workplace. But those are the persons that you would use. One other thing before you go, if you own a house as joint tenants, you cannot put that in the will, because joint tenants say that when one party dies, the survivor gets it all. So the house you own with the person right now, especially persons who you separate from, know that if you pass at the outside, the woman who you left long time or the man who you left long time will be getting that property. Because that's what joint tenancy does. Yes? The survivor gets it all. Depending on how you acquire the house too, if you were paying a mortgage at NHT, the mortgage dies with the individual who passed on, and then you are able to know who's left on it, or those who are left on the joint tenancy property title will be able to go to NHT with your proper identification and the death certificate and collect the title for the house. Yes, so be careful of that one. It is a very sticky thing because many persons don't understand that joint tenant. I mean, so you own it joint like that. It means that mostly when one party dies, the survivor get 100% of it. So all who want chop up and cuss and go along bad and say, who? And my father also if you get something too. You see people get shot in church while them a pray for the same kind of thing. Because people don't understand that when two people make up and buy a house, they dictate to the lawyer how it should be held. It can be tenants in common too. If it is tenants in common, you can leave your portion in your will to who you want to leave it to include your good spouse. Yes? So that is what I would want to say about owning a property with somebody else. Look at your title when you go home. Look to see if it is joint tenancy or look to see if it is tenancy in common. When you own children, especially if you have children, when you have children who are outside children and they are not a part of your marriage, that's a problem too, Because when you pass, your children them can be left out on the street because the house automatically now goes to the surviving spouse. And the children are left out, or they are sent to grandma or one auntie have to go take them because this is spouse say, oh, me nobody want to know in here no stepchildren. Me no think me want no around me now. We no go on to no grandmother or no auntie or whoever. And by law, they have every right to do that because the house now belongs to the one person. And you may want to call her wicked stepmother, you may want to call him wicked stepfather, but it's the law. So when you have outside kids, be careful how you buy houses. Now is the time to change the tenancy if you are so minded. I think I will stop here and allow questions. There's a lot more to it, but I think that is what is necessary for you in a nutshell outside of the questions that you're going to ask. I hope I did not leave any loose ends. And if I have, feel free to ask me to clarify anything that you did not understand or did not get properly. Yes? Over to you, Mr. MC.
Thank you so much, SP Gladys Brown, for that wonderful. And if I go to the chat, I want to tell you some of the terminologies that persons are using. Miss Donna Tucker said it is well articulated, practical, and true. And she further went on to say, talk truth. Mr. Clive Rose said it's an on-point presentation. And Blessed Novi says, love the real talk. So I believe that every single person on this platform has garnered a lot of information that is absolutely necessary. I must tell you that I certainly learned a lot from your presentation. So thank you, Madam, for that excellent job that you did for us this evening. Now, ladies and
And if
gentlemen,
I may, if
go
I
ahead,
may,
go ahead,
Mr.
Madam.
MC, let me just use this opportunity to say I'm a practicing attorney at law for 20 years now. So my services are available for those who want to use them in instances like this with the deadlifting. You know where the problem is? Yes, ma'am.
Definitely. So what I'm going to ask you to do for everyone on this platform, Madam, is to, oh, well, I just realized that you placed your contact
Yes,
information
ma'am. I'm very
in the chat.
proactive.
Wonderful. So for every person who has any interest in making contact with Miss Brown, her information is now in the chat, so you can feel free to save it, not just for yourselves, but to share it with anyone else that you believe can benefit from that information. And we ask now that you use the raise hand feature, and we have two persons whose hands have been raised thus far. You can raise your hand if you want to ask a question, as well as you can type it in the chat, and as best as possible, we will try to get to it. All right, so we have Miss Carmen Gordon. We're going to ask you to unmute and ask your question, followed by Blessed Novi, in that order. So go ahead, Miss Carmen Gordon.
Okay, good evening. And my question this evening is, as it relates to joint tenancy, can it change? Can this change? One, and two, what if it is joint tenancy, but the other party, one of the party, when say for example the house is incomplete, and one of the parties said they don't want to work anymore and they all stop work on it, how would that work out, and can joint tenancy change? That's my
Yes,
question.
it can be changed. And one of the easiest way to change it is to find out whether the other person is interested in you buying them out, buying out their interest and me paying you for your half. Yes, because one of the things you have to remember too, once the person stop working on the house, it is interested and important too that you stop working too. So you don't want to go ahead and spend your little back money where you get the other day. Your little money the government give you can say, well, I am going to continue with it because I want to put on the roof. Because at the end of the day, a lot of persons are unreasonable and will want the value of the house to be ascertained and it's split down the middle. They will not want to take into consideration the 1.5 million that you use up the other day to put on roof and awning. They want to collect from where they based on the fact that they left it a particular way and you finish it, they want to split it down the middle. So the joint tenancy can change if the other person is willing to sign off on it. In many instances, they may not, but if you are smart, you can, and they have children and you have children, you can put it in the favor, say, John, you have 2 children, and God forbid if you pass, everything where you did left come to me. In the children, them not nothing to say about it. So don't go to him and say, John, I want to change the tenancy because I have 2 children and I want if me dead, they'll get my portion. That will turn him off. So you have to play it on his side to say, John, if anything happened to you and you're passing now, I want to go get everything. So why don't you let us change the joint tenancy? But some we not buying, because we say, man, I got dead before we. Or the woman I got a say the other way around. The other spouse always think you're dead left him, and he will get everything. But none of us know what life holds. And so it is important to tidy up the thing. So in a situation like that, suggest buying out the person. Some of them will give you a long yard and stick and say, me nah do not me want it stay there for me pick them also. Therefore, you say, no, you and I are separated, me want my share. So you would have to end up going to court, getting a fixed date, getting hiring a lawyer and going through fixed date claim form for the court to grant an order to make a decision that the house should be divided and a valuation be obtained. And based on the valuation, it should be shared equally, or one party buy out the other one, or you use your lawyer to put in to say the 1.5 that I paid for the roof, can this be taken out of the total value? Yes? Right? Have I answered your question, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you for that contribution, Miss Gordon. Blessed Novi, you can unmute and go ahead with your question.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
You're a real talk person. I love that.
You.
Yes. Are you only a quote unquote dead left lawyer, or are you?
Not at all, you know. I'm a real lawyer, a real live lawyer.
Okay,
I represent persons who are buying houses, buying land. People who are selling their house or selling land. I do children, I do custody for children and maintenance, and I do everything that is civil. I don't do criminal law because I'm still a serving member of the JCF, and that would be in conflict with the JCF, and I don't do conflicting matters or matters that involve quarreling and cussing outside of the will, you know, because those are on paper.
Okay.
I don't go to court to represent content.
Okay, thanks. We had I don't know how you call it when on your mortgage you're with someone else. That's what they call joint. When one person
It can be, depends on the tenancy. The tenancy dictates whether it is joint or tenancy in common. So you'd have to look at the back of your title where your name and the person's name is to see what is there. Because many of you didn't even know that there's a difference, or it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Especially when you have young children, where if you pass, the house just go to the husband, and next thing go married to an ex-wife, and for your picking them can't stay in the house. Or the other way around, the wife married again and your stepchildren them have to go. Because the man, the new stepfather can't take tea.
My mother was unmarried and she died. So I'm wondering if I could claim it now.
You and your mommy hold the property?
Right. But my mom died.
Yeah. Well, and your mommy died. So if it is a joint tenancy property, then you will have to get a lawyer and the lawyer will do what is called notation of death, where the death certificate would come in handy now, because that is what you're going to use to show that your mommy has passed and you are the survivor. Yes, just accrescendi. That's what it is called in Latin. Just accrescendi. Yeah, survivor gets all. So look on your title to see whether you and your mommy hold it or held it as joint tenants. Yes, if it is tenants in common, then it's a totally different ball game. Yes, depending on when your mother dead left, maybe you're not the only child. Yes,
no, it's really mine, and I add her onto it.
Yes, but that is the difficulty, and that's why this presentation is so important. Because that's what you're going to say, you know. It's mine, you know. I may just add on my mother, but the wicked lawyer go put tenants in common. So the half of my mother dead left now. I have to go share me get a percentage, and my 5 brother and sister them get a percentage too.
Oh,
while you still hold on to your half, and you go say, but wait. Nothing can go so, because when me and buy the house, I me just catch on my mother penny after she not even get no NHT benefit, and maybe only there are points me get. She never put $1, and now me go share up this house with my brother and sister them, and if one of them have something and only this me have, but by law, because she did not make a will to say, all right, if anything should happen to me, my daughter, I'm going to make a will to give back my half to my daughter. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a situation like that, anybody on the platform, and the property is tenants in common, and the person died without leaving a will, you have to go start look around now and say, who are the brothers and sisters? Because I don't deal with nothing bogus. So me now go say, just go to the lawyer and tell her, say, you won. Your mother dead left. I've seen it happen. Somebody died leaving 13 siblings. All of them, they are foreign except the worthless one, or who they classify to be the worthless one. The worthless one was on the ground and sell the house in a 81 or so for 13,000. 13,000 like that time was like 13 million or more. When the foreign, the ones in the abroad now catch up and realize that one brother sold the house and collect the money, they contested it. But the court said that the persons who bought the house because they bought the house in the dark, so to speak. They didn't know that there was a family breach or a family problem or dead left problem. So they were considered to be valuable purchasers without value for notice, meaning that they never know, say, bangarang and mix up and blender involved. They genuinely saw a house being sold and bought it. And so the other sibling, them just sit down and I say, my God, what a boy wicked. So that can happen too. So you now would have to go home, look at your tenancy. Do you know whether it is joint or tenants in common?
No.
You don't. So when you go home, you can just look at it and read it.
I'm at home.
You're at home, so you can draw it out of the panty drawer, man, or out of the grip.
All right, so you can go and talk to somebody else. I'm going to look at it.
Please, bless you. Next.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so Mr. Cecil White, you are next, but first let me look at a question that's in the chat from Miss Peaches Brown. Can a copy of your title be used to do any business, or if it gets in anyone's possession? Can a copy of your title be used to do any business if it gets in someone else's possession? I believe the question is.
Well, we know that Jamaica is full of scammers. This is one of the scamming countries, and we are known all over the place because we have some of the best. Yes. So if it gets into the wrong hands and they have plans, they can do fraudulent stuff with it. Yes. But properly speaking, nobody can use your title to do anything except you. Yes. I have known persons who share the same name, especially Junior, like Calvin Ellis Jr., and them look alike. So you can't even know the difference between them and the ID. And people use all of those little advantages, or in my mind, it's disadvantages, to cash in on certain things and to fool people. But properly speaking, people have ways and means of doing things, and before you know it, your house in somebody else's name, and you have to go through court and pay a lawyer millions of dollars to get back your property. Whereas if you're not in Jamaica, because a lot of persons leave their property and go away, them have a little caretaker giving an eye on it, or they may own it with somebody else, and the other person may even file for adverse possession to say you have deserted the property. From the day I buy the property 15 years ago, you know, come here, you know, pay one land tax, and I want to pay the land taxes. And so I would have gone behind your back to get this house in my name because you have deserted it and you have abandoned it and abandoned your share. So I can get the old house in my name using adverse possession. And it does happen in law, ladies and gentlemen. Yes? Have I answered that other point? That question?
Wonderful. I would think that you did an excellent job of responding to that question, Madam. But I don't know if Miss Peaches Brown is comfortable with that response. You can just indicate in the chat by saying yes or no. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Mr. Cecil White to unmute and go ahead with your question, followed by Mrs. Holness.
Good night, everyone.
Hello.
Brown, your presentation is, full of information, very interesting. I want you, though, to just delve a little more into the probate process. Who can actually start this and how soon after the death, and also if spouse is recognized from a common law union when it comes down to will. That's it.
All right, so you have two questions. How soon can you move to get probate, and whether common law spouses are recognized? What you said? Recognized when? By in the law or what? Or after
Yes,
you're dead?
in terms of spouse and in a common law union, I want to know if, if the will recognizes that, spouse from a common law union, and of course,
All right.
the probate process.
All right, let me see if I can answer the easier one first, which is whether how soon after the death you can probate. As soon as possible, as long as you're in possession of the death certificate and you are in possession of the will, the one of the original wills, not the copy now, because the court will only accept a copy if you can't find the original, and then you have to go through notice of application for court orders in order to get the court to use a copy will. Yes, they will do that. And they have to have a proper hearing with affidavits to say what could have happened to the original will. So you can go to probate as soon as possible. Better for you too, because you won't have to pay debt duties. And remember, guys, to put up the funeral paper, the money that you spend to bury the person, put up everything in a one plastic bag. Yes? Good. The second part of the question now concerns common law spouses or a common law spouse. Now, when you are making your will, you have to take into account, the person who you live with, which is one of the reasons why this presentation is on this evening. Because invariably and in many, many instances, people die and them have common law leading a them or wife in them house or husband. The house in the man name, the common law spouse, and sometimes they have children with them. Name not depend nothing. And as soon as the man could have buried so, the family turned down panel, as we would say in Jamaica, and say, Miss, me I give you till any month to leave at 5 o'clock. You have to pack up your things and leave at my brother's house or at my son's house. You have to leave. And she said, but I have been living with this man for 20 years a year, so I live with him. What not come talk about? The lady said, so Miss, you're not a wife, leave. Lie them a tell. I'll be the worst if he didn't leave a will. She can hire a lawyer for her to be declared spouse. Yes, it may take a little while, but you will be recognized because you share the same address, you live together for over 5 years. It's not a situation where you have a visiting relationship, like one case where I know where the helper went in onto the man. He was married, but he's claimed it's a business marriage. The helper went in onto him, or he went in onto the helper. He died at his house that he and his son bought. But because he was here in Jamaica and the kids were in England, they bought the house in his name because he could get the loan from the credit union and so forth and so on. And one of the sons stood as guarantor. Lo and behold, the man dropped down dead at his own house. Somebody have to call the wife and tell the girlfriend who is now saying that she's wife, and tell her when she came now, should have gone into the house and search her because the taxi driver, I know, and take every dollar that is there. She shake out the dead man pocket them right in front of everybody and take out him wallet and take out the dead left, the money them, because he had $150,000 to insure a vehicle that day. Yes, then she now hired a lawyer for her to be declared spouse. And the worst part about it, no. We do the investigation and find out that she was married to somebody too, still married. And I asked for her to be declared spouse. But guess what was the major thing? She and the man never lived together. They never lived together. So even if there was no spouse on his side and on her side, they were not living together. It was just a visiting relationship. Where she have her own house at Portmore, him live at Patrick City. So he would have probably passed through every now and then, and she passed through when she feel like, or not at all, because invariably the man will find the woman after dark. In a lot of instances, no say true me at all. Yes? So that is the situation there. So if you are making a will and you live with a common law spouse, it's good for you to make provisions for the common law spouse. What you can do, make your will to say, and she, what we call, give her a life estate or make her a life tenant. So you leave in the will that she should live until she dies. And she can reap all the crops and the property, all the fruit trees and so. And after her death, no, then my children or whoever you want to get the property gets it. Yes, but suppose you want to give her because she has been a good wife, a good woman to you, although and she never get to marry, or for whatever reason you never marry her. Then you can say that you have to leave the house to her, or you can leave the house to she and your children, and leave it for it to be sold or whatever. And since your wife in there, you won't leave it to be sold because she would have end up a door, or she would have to buy out the children. So you don't want that kind of mess. You now would have to decide what is comfortable with you. But you now use your will to make provision for that baby mother or that common law spouse. And remember, too, guys, although you're married, you have your outside children, them, it is important that you put something in the will for them. But then will they can't keep a yard, you know. Then will they can't keep a yard because they're going to tear up. The problem if you keep them a yard, because we don't know, so we love search and we love clean up and neat up. And when we are neat up, we know that should not read everything. So when me as wife now with your two children, then when me don't know about no other pitney, me I look and see Will with Tom and Montego Bay, Tom Brown, or in this case, we married to your name, Joseph, Gladys Brown-Josephs. And I see Daniel Joseph, Jerome Joseph, those two live in Montego Bay, my daughter Sonia in Manchester, and my two children down, Matches Lane, Justin and Janiel. And I saw you just a see it as wife. Then I don't know which woman on this platform I go feel good. You know? And I said, wait, you know, all these years me live with him and think it's just the two kids that I have with him, and the man have picked me a road and don't tell me nothing. No, sir, this is serious. But you say, watch me and him. Watch how me I go rock him both now. So you tear up the wheel and burn it up, and you know say nothing. I think it's peace and safety. And when it's peace and safety and him passed now, he died without leaving a will. So you come contract now. Because sometimes they don't leave nothing for you, you know, as a wife, you know. Sometimes they don't leave nothing. And sometimes they don't make no will, like I said. And the relatives, they're rolling like a steamroller and tell you to leave. I know of a case. And they tell her to leave and she have to take the picnic and leave. Then say we go, the administrator general will step in, however, when there are children under 18. So no matter what the husband did left, including the government money and the police money, once you have children who are under 18, whether they belong to the wife inside or outside, once they are known and then come out of the woodwork, especially when the father's name is on the birth certificate, then they can come to the CSSB section of the JCF and claim. And whatever your dead left, the dead left have to go share with between the wife and the children them. So a lot of men are responsible. I can't blame a man for have outside children and you know that I go bring down dead buckle house by your head. And you go you decide, so you know one guy go make that mistake. So you just use your will to capture them address and them name and to say if me dead, these are my kids there to get A, B, and C. Are you understanding? Yes? So all your wife can do a beat your grave and say you're wicked. You're too wicked, but at least you'd have left something for your children then. The 12 children you have out a road, sir, and the 2 are yard.
Wow, wonderful response to that question there, Ms. Brown. Mr. White, are you comfortable with that response, sir?
Very clear, sir. And thanks again, Brown.
Wonderful. All right,
It's
so
good to see some of the persons who are talking, though.
right.
Yes, if they're interested.
Right.
Nice.
So if you're able to, you can turn your camera on so that we can see who it is that we are communicating with on the platform. So, Mrs. Holness, it is now your opportunity, followed by Blessed Novi. So, Mrs. Holness, you can go ahead, unmute, and if you're able to, you can turn your camera on so we can see who we're interacting with on the platform. Mrs. Holness, are you still looking to ask a question? All right, we'll move on to Blessed Novi. Blessed Novi, you can go ahead, unmute, and you can open your camera if you'd like, and go ahead and speak. Or Mrs. Holness.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
I found the title. Where should I look now?
You look at the back where your name appears and where your mommy's name appears. And then you read that to see if you go down to the bottom, you see we holding it as joint tenants. Wherever you see your name, especially where it is transferred, there's a thing called a transfer, and you'll see the two persons and the date that it was done, and the amount of money you spend to acquire the property, etc. What would you want to do that and then get back on the platform while I address Mrs. Holness?
Okay.
Just read
Right.
that little part, yes.
Right. So, Mrs. Holness, you can now unmute and go ahead.
Excuse me.
Mrs. Holness? All right, it seems we're having some challenges with Mrs. Holness. Does anyone else on the platform want to ask a question? Now is your opportunity. You can raise your hand and you'll be acknowledged and you'll be allowed to speak. All right, so Mrs. Holness seems as though she's not ready. You can go ahead. All right, you are not unmuted. We are seeing you on camera, but you are not unmuted, Mrs. Holness. You need to unmute.
Oh, I got it now. Yeah,
Wonderful.
good night. You hearing me now?
Loud and clear and
I'm
seeing
hearing
you as
Mrs.
well.
Holness.
Good night. Yes, I'm a widow. My husband died 4 years now. His name is on the title. I would like to get his name off the land title.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
Pardon
so,
me?
yes, ma'am. So you will have to hire me. You'll have to hire a lawyer. Let me make it clear. I'm just saying that. You'll have to hire a lawyer, and they will do what is called a notation of death to remove your husband's name. Can you say whether the title was held as joint tenants?
Yes, it is.
Joint tenants.
Yes, it is.
Well, bingo.
Joint tenants.
It's now yours and all yours. But
Yes.
you would want to get his name removed so you can have your title comfortably tucked away, or if you want to use it for any purposes, then you know.
And what I like to find out, can I put my 2 sons' name on it?
Oh, sure, because it is now all yours.
Yeah.
So that would require a transfer from you to you and your sons.
Yeah.
So to transfer of half of the property or to get on the 2, they would the government taxes.
Well, I want to give it 2 sons and my 2 granddaughters.
Oh, so you want to make a will, or you want to do a transfer while you're alive?
I want to make a transfer
and give it to the 2 children and your grandchildren
and my grandchildren.
So
and the house now, what I'm planning to do, I want the house to sell. The house is supposed to be stayed for them.
Oh, so you'd have to put that in your will that the house is not to be sold, yes?
Hold on, let her put in the earphone. I can't hardly hear you.
Okay, please.
Yes, you can now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I know.
Right. So I was saying to you, ma'am, that
yes,
you would have to state in your will that the house is not to be sold and should remain a family home, if that's what you want.
Yes, that's what I want.
But why not? Why have you considered letting your name stay on it? And when you pass, it goes just like how your husband passed. They just do a notation of your death.
Okay, so I don't have to change it then.
You don't have to change it. If you put their name, if you take off your name and put theirs, the taxes will be on the entire value of the house. If you put on their names to join yours, it will be on the half. I say this, I don't know you and I don't know your business, but I know of a situation where a husband and a wife own a house as joint tenants. The husband died and the wife said, we have 1 child, so I'm going to put on my daughter. I'm going to just transfer the house to my daughter while I'm alive. And the lady did the transfer. The daughter wanted to borrow some money on the house, and the one that mother said, no, this is my house. You put your name on it, but that means so you can't go borrow nothing. The daughter said, but you and I are now the
Yes.
the owner. No, you are no longer on
Yes.
it. So you can't tell me what to do. You have
Yes.
transferred this house to me. The mother said, but I transferred it for convenience. This is the house I'm living in. And you know what the daughter did? The daughter took it to
Yes.
court. The daughter took it to court for it to be declared her house. And she won.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it never dawned on the mother that her own people could have that kind of mind, that a wicked intention. And she
Yeah.
had the wife had to come out of it.
Yeah.
She couldn't
Yeah.
even appeal it, because the law is specific
Yeah.
on these things. When you transfer your property to another party, it now belongs to the other party solely, and you have no talk. Yes. So
Yes.
I normally talk to people. I
Just take his
don't
name
know
off
what kind of
them.
people they are. Huh? Yes, ma'am.
Just take my husband name off it, then I leave it like that.
And you can add on the children. You can add on your children and
Yes.
you hold it as joint tenants. So if
Yeah, that's
anybody
what I'm going to still hold it as.
yes, man, that is good. That is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Hold it as joint tenants, so they
That's
can't
what I'm going to
borrow no money
Yes.
upon it without your knowledge, or mortgage your
Can't,
house,
yeah.
no, or trust your, do something. Use your house as collateral without
Are
your.
you living in the scheme?
Eh?
Are you living inside the Sydney Villa scheme?
No, but
Are you living inside in the
No.
Sydney Villa scheme?
No, but I live
Okay,
in
because
Portmore
I'm
too.
living in the scheme.
Right. I live in
Okay.
Portmore and St. Anne.
Okay.
But I am easy to find based
Okay.
on my numbers, my cell phone numbers.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm in the group, so I'm Mrs. Solness. So my WhatsApp number is in the group, so you can look it up and then you can just WhatsApp me and then we can talk.
Or you can get my number from the moderator and then you can call me. That's between
No
me and
problem.
you. It's a competition.
Yeah. Right, Mrs. Holness. Let me just say, for the purpose of everyone on the platform, in the chat, you will find the contact information for Miss Brown. It is 823-3759.
Hold on, let me write it down. Hold on, sir. Let me get it down.
All right, let me repeat it. It is 823 3759.
Yeah.
Or 454.
Yes.
3845. That is 454 3845. All right. So those numbers, they are in the chat. So persons, you can scroll up and you will find her contact information in the chat. Now, we are running out of time for this program, ladies and gentlemen. However, I do recognize that there are two persons with their hands raised. We're going to take these two persons and then we will have to bring the program to a close. And you can look forward to us having another program next month on a date that will be announced. So, Miss Blessed Novi, I know that you were looking to locate on your title where it is that you can find whether it is joint tenants or tenants in common. So I don't know if you have done that as yet, but I'm going to allow Marshawn Daly to go ahead with her question, and then we'll get back to you at the end of it, Miss Novi. All right, so Marshawn, you can go ahead, unmute, and go ahead.
Good evening. Does marriage change your assets moving from you to be shared?
Yes, in a sense, because for example, I own a house with my husband and my husband passed, not both, God forbid. My husband passed because nothing is more valuable to me than my husband, no house, no nothing. Good, my husband passed. So the house would say, for example, if it is joint tenancy, it would come to me fully, yes? So now my husband dead, me I said, Lord God, me young and I'm salting and but me we can't live like this, man. Me need a companion. Me can't live the rest of my life and me young and I'm salt. Me have feelings like everybody else, so me I go married again. The moment you marry the new person and carry them into that house, the house has now become your matrimonial home, and the man where you're married or the woman where you're married, matrimonial home. Right? So should in case anything happen, like for example, when I got divorced, the man can make a claim or the woman can make a claim. And you go say, but you can't see me with my house. So what kind of claim you make? None of this is enough for you. Hey, boy, man, you get, hey, take for yourself. Man, you get, man, stone throw at you, you know? You can always say that, but he does have the law on his side where he can show, especially if they have been married for a long time, you guys have been married for a while, it can show that he, and some people come in, you know, miss, and they put on a room. They put on a room, they put on awning and they paint. Christmas come, then buy 500,000 worth of paint and say, honey, we need to put up the place. Man, here's a house and no painting, and I can't live in it like this. And I could change out the tile now. Don't worry yourself, man. I get one back money the other day. I will tile out the place to make it look livable. It have to represent me, you know, that the husband now, you know, or the wife, I say, you know, anywhere I live, it has to be bununus and look good. So they invest their own money in that house now. Automatically, they would have gotten what you call an interest in the property. Equitable interest. Equitable interest means your name is not on the title, but you spend money on the house. You improve the house, and nobody can talk to you and tell you about, say, pack your bags and go. You are say, me not leave till me get my share, and you would have the right to say that, because you have your receipt them. And one thing men have to understand on this platform, woman no dash you nothing. Sometimes I rat and watch nyam way out, we have paper. I told my granddaughter, the amount of paper when me have in my handbag. Very soon, them have to go start search my brazier and my bosom. Because me soon start stuffed up paper in there, so. That's how much I don't throw away anything. And I know there are lots of other women who store everything. And guess what we are doing now? We have photocopy them too, you know, that if they fade, we have the photocopy ones left back. So it is imperative that if you find yourself owning a property now and you're going to get married, like I said to my husband when I met him in 2014, the house I have in Portmore is going to go to my son. So I'm saying, you know, I really want to live somewhere where it is cool and you don't have a lot of smoke and smog. So I made some inquiries and find out that they have some nice house down in Richmond. Me I tell you no my business, but not tell nobody here. So we buy one. So me now I say, all right, because me and I know the ramification of moving my new husband in my house at Portmore. So I say, no man, we could buy one house at St. Anne. And we buy the house and we move in and we make it a matrimonial home. You see the house at Portmore now? You can't go there, so. Because you can't go say I'm matrimonial home. And me did have the house before me meet him. And me make sure say I'm spending money and buy something with me. How that sound? Smart, not true? Yes, man. Them are coming in your life, them to come with something, then can come with empty hand and one ready done. And when them to walk out, everybody want to walk out, Sonia, walk out. Walk out, Jack, walk out. They might walk out with things in the head, held high. So you now have to be careful when you own a property by yourself and you have a long time. Because marriage change a lot of things. Yes, and remember I also say if you had made a will before you get married, the moment you get married, that will becomes invalid because marriage invalidates a will. So you have to go make a new brand will after the wedding and the honeymoon, make a new will. It depends on you. You want to put in a new husband, you make something and you tell him, you give him what he forget. But for God's sake, give him something. Because you don't want him to contest your will. I just read a will about a month ago where the mother leave a big shine spoon for the daughter. I laughed till I nearly dead. You know, you're not to laugh, but I've never heard anything like that. The mother left the big silver spoon for the daughter and left the house and land and money to the other daughter, them who she said they were good to her, and leave the shine spoon. So I say, why would they leave a shine spoon? I wasn't the one who made the will. It just come to me to probate. And the lady said, me here say, when you have children or you have spouse, you know, if you left them out of the will, left something night for them, that if they contest it, then they go in court can say, but if she didn't have it in mind to give you anything else, but the silver spoon she would have give you. Did I hear a question there? So you, I hope I answered your question, Madam Daly. I hope I answered your question.
You're muted, Miss Daly. If you're responding, you're muted.
Okay, so sorry. So yes, I think you have answered. So what I'm to understand is, for example, if you own a house and you get married and the house is in your name, the marriage would change the distribution of wealth. You'd now have to make a new will and put the tenant in common or the other one.
No, you put who you want to leave your house to, because it is now your house in a miss. But you're carrying the gentleman as a husband in a hit. You know? So that has ramification. Your husband move in with you. If you're smart, you move in with him.
Okay. Thanks for the
Understand?
clarity.
Or you buy another property together, if you can go that far. But the
So-
moment that he moves in, he knows, he's saying, this is my matrimonial home. Because you move me in, you can't come live here with me and now you want to put me out. That's not going to happen. And you have all kind of stuff like that happening every single day in the courts.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Novia.
I see a question. I think I see a question in the chat just before we move on to Novia. There's a question in the chat. I think they're asking about a prenuptial agreement. Can a prenuptial agreement be signed with the new hubby?
You can, you know, but it has to be done by a lawyer to be properly crafted and to cover all of the little loopholes and the little escape routes. And sometimes it is good when you, again, you can't choose who you fall in love with. So sometimes the women are penniless or the men are penniless, but you love, you know? And it's all about love. But when you bring in the prenup now, it just give a stomach ache, you know, indigestion. You really think I'm marrying you for your money? Why would you see me that way? Why would you think this way? And you know, have a dollar for yourself, you know. But the question will be asked and it will cool down the love too. If it is not a steady, strong person to say, listen, anything you want to do, you want to make a prenup? No problem. I'll work with that because I don't want anything from you. But you wait till when you're dead and the dead left there. Judgment, if you don't have that like a prenup, something there. And it has to be tight, very tight and airtight, so to speak, that they can't contest it and get around it.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that we're having a very, very interesting discussion. And I want persons to understand that this program was live streamed on YouTube and that video will be available on YouTube for watching for future reference, as well as for sharing of information with other persons. So anyone who you know can benefit from this information but wasn't able to join our platform tonight here on Zoom, you can always send them to our YouTube channel, and that is CSSB North. That is CSSB North, where you can find this presentation tonight on our platform, as well as previous presentations that we would have done on various topics. So those are available on YouTube for future watching. All right. We just want to thank each and everyone for joining us here on the platform tonight. Oh, yes, Miss Novi.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
I'm not seeing it.
We'll talk off the air. You can call me on WhatsApp, camera.
Yes, I can.
All right,
right. So Miss Novi, her contact is in the chat. You can note it and you can get in touch with her. And Marie, I do see your hand. If you can quickly type your question in the chat. So if it is possible, Miss Brown could address it quickly. So you can go ahead and type your question in the chat.
That's true right now. And that's
okay, right. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us for the family empowerment discussion. We know that there are several station commanders who are presently on our platform, and whilst we're not seeing them here, there are many community members who are actually watching this program on a screen in their communities, because this platform, we are trying to reach as many persons as possible. So I know that Mr. Cecil White, who is the sergeant in charge of the Riversdale Police Station, I don't know if Mr. White would like to just share his experience with his community. Tell us how it is on your side, Sir White. How is the reception towards the program from the citizens within your area?
Well, actually, Sir Fennel, I'm not really on a monitor with my community group. Sorry,
Okay.
citizens from my community. But what has happened is that I've shared the link and quite a few it's presently on. So, it's not really a monitor as such, so I'm not able to, describe that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Sir White. I do know that there are I was informed rather that there are other station commanders who are on the platform who are sharing this program on screen. So we want to thank you for doing that and for reaching out to as many persons as possible, because once again, our aim is to educate the family. All right, so Miss Anne-Marie is now asking the question. I am married, but I am overseas and I have a house in Jamaica. I don't have a will. If anything happens to me, will half go to my husband. I have 2 children that are not my husband's children. So she's asking what will happen with that house should she pass, considering that she is not in Jamaica and she doesn't have a will, and she has 2 children that are not her husband's children. So she would like to know what would happen to that house.
All right, so she has a house which is clearly stating that nobody else is on the title except her. Good. The property would go, 50% would go to the husband, and the other 50% would share between the children if there are 2, or among them if there are more than 2, or go to the one child if there is 1. Right. So that's the disadvantage of having of not making a will. Your property will just go like that. Suppose you had wanted your children to get the majority, or you had wanted your husband to get the majority, or all of it. It doesn't go like that when you don't make a will. So it is best to make a will, to state categorically what it is that you have in mind, or what it is that you want and will be comfortable with to happen to your house and your estate. And remember now, ladies and gentlemen, so, you don't have to make a pretty will, you can get a folder leaf, and write that I, Gladys Brown, leave my house on 15 Bunyan Road to my 2 children to live as joint tenants, or I leave my husband to live until he dies, and after he dies, it goes to my 2 children. And you call Sister Sandra and Master Ted and say, come and watch me sign, man. They don't have to even know what it is you're reading. I just have a document here and I want you to watch me sign my name and date this document. So then after say, boy, I want you sign. I want to read it. I not sign without reading it. You can say to them, it's my will, man. And it's private. But what I want is for you to watch me sign my name. And both of them watch you sign your name. Then they sign their name, put their address, and put their occupation. And that would be considered a valid will. Whereas if you find, you see, I say, boy, things are run out on you, you don't have no time to go hire a lawyer, you don't have the money to go to no lawyer. For sometimes, you have to pay consultation fee. Not even that you don't have, because you have to buy your sugar pill or buy your high blood pressure pill. So you would want to help yourself, especially if you don't have a lot of stuff, rich like Ishmael Williams and have them big bag of money and them things that we come the other day. So you don't have to call him Gladys. You just do your own little thing and make sure you have something put on. And remember, you don't have to JP enough to stamp it, ladies and gentlemen. If you use the JP, make the JP be a witness or do write it. Some JP have some pretty handwriting, but don't let them put on their stamp on it. not on the wheel. If they want to put an outside piece that they want to stamp something and fine, but the JP stamp should not be anywhere there. When I, as a lawyer, make a will, I put on a skirting on it, or an outside leaf where I stamp my name and my law firm and all of that, and put a number. So should in case you pass and somebody find your documentation, they can say, oh, the lawyer did sort out mama something, let me call her. That kind of thing. All right?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, Superintendent Brown, thank
Yes,
you so much for your time, for your effort, and for the wonderful presentation that you did for us. Go ahead, madam.
Somebody was asking about my email address. I sent
Yes.
to one, but I'm not sure why it's not in the capital room.
All right, you can just go ahead and just send it to everyone. So all the persons on the platform will have access to it.
And quickly with this question, can a copy of your title be used to do any business? If what?
Right, you had addressed it. You had addressed
yeah.
that question. You had addressed that question already.
You sure?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you indicated that it cannot be used without your permission unless it is through scamming or some other fraudulent means.
Oh, yes. So
Right.
you said them to go ahead now and do it.
And you can type your email in the chat just like you did with your contact information and send it to everyone. So all persons would be able to see your email address.
To do that, but I'm not getting the opportunity. I'm not sure why not.
All right, you want to tell me it and I'll just go ahead and put it in the chat for you?
Gladys 22 BC.
So that is GLADYS 22 BC
at yahoo.com.
All right, you want to tell me, look at it and tell me if that is correct?
Have you sent it? I'm not seeing it.
Yes, it's in the chat. So that is GLADYS 22 BC at yahoo.com. Does that sound correct?
Yes, it is correct.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm sure why not.
All right.
Now it comes up, yes.
Wonderful. All right, so for you, ladies and gentlemen, her email address as well as her contact information are now in the chat, so you can make note of it for future use and for sharing with those persons who you think might be in need of the services of a civil lawyer. All right, she does not do criminal law, so she will not be able to represent anyone who is arrested by the police. However, for any civil matters, you can feel free to make contact with Miss Brown. So once again, madam, as I was saying earlier, thank you so much for your time and for your effort. Go ahead.
Let me just say thank you to my husband, Calvin Ellis, who is also on this presentation. And thank you for your support, sir. Yes, thank you, Miss Calvin. Thank you for coming on. Right.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so very much for that, Mr. Calvin Ellis. And for everyone who joined us this evening, we want to say thank you for continuing to support the St. Catherine North Community Safety and Security Branch and the Family Empowerment Program, and for continuing to help us to educate the family as much as we can. We want you to understand that the information that is shared here on this program is for your benefit, and not just for you, but for every other person that you believe the information will be impacting. So we ask that you share the link once you get it, so that persons can join our program and benefit from the information. As always, we remind you that our programs are streamed live on YouTube, and those videos are available for watching in future use, for future. So if someone was unable to join our platform whilst we are doing the programs live, they can always go and watch our YouTube videos at CSSB North. So they just go on YouTube and search CSSB North, and they'll be able to find our channel, and they'll be able to have access to the videos that are posted there. So once again, we want to say thank you for your time and for your effort, and also thank you for your patience in waiting, because we had a delay in starting this evening. And so we ask that you look out for our next presentation. And we also want to thank our commanding officer, that is Senior Superintendent Howard Chambers, for his continued support and the leadership of the St. Catherine North Division. And we thank you, sir, for always joining and being present on our platform, and we appreciate you always. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, I am your host, Corporal Kester Fennel. Thank you for joining, and we do look forward to having you on our program next time. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
Okay, you too.